We are now live.
Yep. We are.
We are. Manicpod started a live video.
Great. We'll just wait for people
So
to join.
Mithun just joined. So that means he'll be presenting first.
Uh-huh.
So, hey Mithun, what's up? So we're just waiting for our Friday Chats guest to show up. We'll be conducting an interview with him, and then for the second half of this segment, we will be, there he is, Glitter's Life Official. Shall we invite Rohit to join?
I think let's wait for a while.
Let's wait for a while.
Let's just get
Hey
everybody
Mithun.
here.
Hello.
Okay.
Sent request.
I think we can just.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Dilip joined as well. Hi
Hello.
Dilip, what's up? I feel like this is Dilip's gonna be like, wait, 2 hosts? I only got 1. So Rohit, we've sent you an invitation to join. We're just waiting on you.
I'll just send it again.
Yeah, just send it again.
Didn't accept it.
Okay, that was our fault.
Did
then.
it?
Oh, Zach joined. Why is it not accepting?
I have no clue. Should work now.
Nope.
Okay, I'll just send.
Just invite him. Glitters of Life.
No, it's already invited.
Oh, he has already been invited.
Tech problems.
Tech issues.
Anyway, so while we wait for Rohit to
Hi Pawan, how are you?
online,
And Mithun's podcast mate joined as well. So guys, just a thing, for those of you who will be pitching your podcasts today, I just want you guys to know that you guys will be featuring in the second half of this segment. The first half will be a yes, Rohit, we have resent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi Rohit, how are you?
Hello.
Hi. How are you
I'm all
doing?
good. How about you? Absolutely fine. Pretty excited for this session
Very
so that we
excited.
can fill out all all
Not
the
as
kind of
excited as we are.
information. Hopefully it is Friday just because like
Yeah, it is. I think it's a great way to end the week with a chance to talk to someone like you. So let's get this started, Rohit. So
for sure.
one of the reasons that we were so kind of impressed by you was, of course, that you was, of course, your course on podcasting, which is how we came across you and how we sort of corresponded initially. But my question was, before all of that, how did you get into podcasting? Because I was looking you up on LinkedIn. You have an academic career as a businessman, and then you've worked in business as well. And so how did podcasting come about?
Well, that is quite an exciting story to share because we all grow through certain stages of life, and that is how the podcasting or the podcaster born within me. So, would like to share those thoughts accordingly. So, when I started with this podcasting, I always wanted to do something on the internet. So, that was the right intent which I was having in my mind. So, podcasting came very later, say like in 2020, and that usually happened when the pandemic started or before that particularly. So I started with the like tech YouTube channel. So that was the point where I started creating content, but I never got fascinated with the kind of approach I was having towards it, just because like it wasn't seeming interested for me. Like I am interested into the gadgets, but unfortunately like something was missing. Like I wasn't able to connect that with the kind of work I wanted to always do. So after working in, like say, I have a finance background, I work at a business, we have a family business, and after that, I love to do podcasting. So somewhere down the line, I was always, I'm a good observer, so that came within me. Like, so I always wanted to talk about the life and other allied areas of it, and that is how I created a podcast. So for the podcast, Pratik, like a digital Pratik, you might be aware, he's on Instagram as well. So he was the certain kind of a motivation for me, and that is where my podcasting journey started. So it was a kind of a thing like where I wanted to relate to the thoughts, and that is how the podcaster within me was born because I always wanted to express. So when you observe certain things, then it becomes much relatable. Then you can share your story. Then you can have those thoughts which you can freely vent out. So when it is about podcast, you don't have to be very concerned about like when I started with the audio, it is just about you and your mic or whatever recording device you have. You just have to create content and then put out on internet. So you're not much concerned about like how it will go and what kind of reviews you will be getting, what kind of feedback people will be giving you. So that was just that's the crux behind starting the podcast. And when I released my first episode, like I started with the English podcast, and that is how I like started with the podcasting, and that is the story. We will be talking further about like how I grew my podcast and much other areas of it.
So, Rohit, you mentioned in your answer that you started your podcasts in 2020 around the time that the pandemic
Yeah,
was starting. And for those in the audience who probably aren't familiar, your podcasts are motivational and they're all about spreading positivity. So,
yeah,
how, when the pandemic started, because you started your first one in late 2019, and then the
yeah,
second one in sort of February of 2020, I believe. Did the
exactly.
pandemic make it harder for you to create content, when positivity was such a rare thing to find in those early days? Or was it even more motivating for you to say like, no, positivity is absolutely a critical need right now, and it motivated you even harder?
Exactly. Like, so it motivated me harder just because like I was having ample of time working at a business, like all the businesses were shut. I wasn't having any kind of work. So that was all about creating content. So see, like podcasting and writing goes hand in hand with me. So once you try to put out your thoughts through words, people will be finding it very connecting. And that is how like the podcaster mindset grew in my mind just because like when I was able to share my thoughts through writing on LinkedIn and other platforms like Instagram. I haven't been much active on Instagram, but lately on Twitter and LinkedIn, it has helped me to grow as a person. So I can make the content around it, share it to the audience, and all again like create episodes around it. So it was quite easier for me. And talking about the positivity, it is always needed. Like, see, ultimately, it is all about taking actions. And if you don't take any action on your podcast show or anything you do in your life, it won't be growing. So for me, it was always a kind of a pleasure, like recording those episodes and then putting out content, connecting with a lot of people because I had ample of time. Like, see, if we are if we got connected through certain like course post you came across, so that was the kind of a thing I was doing. I was just randomly messaging people. I was just talking with them. Like, I want to do a podcast with you, and everything happened exactly in the same way I was expecting. So it was a quite a great period for me. I got to figure out like what I have to do and how I have to do because the kind of approach we might be having in our life will surely reflect on whatever work you are doing. So that is how it grew. That is how I like shaped up my approach towards it, and I'm still working on it.
That's great.
Fantastic. So, obviously, we covered the fact that you're a businessman. We covered the fact that your podcasts are unrelated to business. And
Yeah,
so, us having worked in podcasting for around the same time as you have, one of the things that we have come across in quite a bit of volume is, of course, business related podcasts. It is a
yeah,
very popular avenue for a lot of podcasters in India to follow. And I would have imagined that for someone who has the experience that you do, a business podcast would have seemed like a no brainer. Yet you went into positivity and you went into motivation. Did you at any time ever consider making a business podcast? And if not, what was the thinking behind making Glitters of Life?
exciting question. Like, just because it is always about connecting your thoughts. So working in that particular field, like see, I have been working into the finance field. I look after the finance portion of our business. So you get overwhelmed at a point of time. So see, like if you're working 9 to 5 in the business, then you will be talking about the same thing at your podcast, like once you're recording. So it is quite easier to create content, but it is always easier to connect with your heart and what your brain says. So if you are able to align that particular portion, if you are just able to freely express whatever you feel, then that is the kind of a area you should always look after, because it is not necessary that if I'm working at a business or if I'm like having a job, you should be starting a podcast around it. It is always about creating that choices. So anyone who wants to create a podcast around anything, like you don't have to be in certain particular niche. So it is kind of a niche. You have to figure it out, like in what way you are comfortable with your thoughts. Because when it is about podcast, it is all about storytelling. So in what way you're going to share your personal and like professional experiences, that matters a lot, because people want to connect with your thoughts, people want to connect with your emotions. So if you're giving that learning approach towards your listeners, like having that approach, then it will surely be a great way to start your podcast. So that was all for me. Like relatability matters a lot for me. So how comfortable I am with my thoughts, how comfortable I am on the topics which I love to talk about. So that gave rise to the glitters of life. And with the glitters of life, it was kind of like the culture is quite evident in the European and American countries. Like
Right.
almost 226 million people have listened to the podcast in America. So that is the 80% of the population. But
Right.
what about India? It is still growing. So
Right.
the English podcasts were quite familiar. They are still familiar in India as well. But I always wanted to connect with the emotions of people, because वो कहते हैं ना कि हम अगर हिंदी में बात करेंगे, so it will be much relatable for people. They will be feeling my pain. They will be feeling like I have gone through all these circumstances. So that was the reason, and that created an impact for me to create another podcast, which was Motivation Spark, and that is I currently am focusing on. So that is still running absolutely great. And now I have created a video podcast as well. So that goes again with the glitters of life on the YouTube and LinkedIn.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Congratulations. So, talking about
Thank you.
India and podcasting, I know there's a lot of people out there like me who've wanted to have a podcast, once upon a time. And since it's I can't say it's a new thing, but kind of in India, what do you feel is something that you would tell anybody out there, just any advice, how to get started, or just anything really?
Absolutely. So once we talk about creating your show, the first question which comes to my mind is like, why you want to do a podcast show? Just because everyone is doing, or just because you want to create something which is valuable to the audience or to the listeners or to the viewers? So that is the
Mhm.
first question, because you always have to relate with your why, because there are plenty of shows which are available on the host platforms. So whenever I go through the list, like the charts, I always find like certain shows are just lagging behind. They are not releasing episodes, say like weekly, monthly, or like whatever schedule they are having to their podcast show. So that is the first reason. Many people start with the excitement, but once you release like say 8 or 10 episodes, then that certain like excitement diminishes, because there is a lot to a podcast. It is not just about you, your recording device, and your voice. There is a lot to it. So I'm very much like blunt over here. If you're going to take efforts, then you just have to venture into the podcasting, because uh, it is a quite a familiar term. Like once you try to put out your voice through the kind of experiences you have, so make sure that why you want to start it, and once you
Mhm.
figure it out why you want to start it, like then how you're going to do that. What is the kind of framework you want to put into the podcasting? Because it is quite necessary to understand what kind of audience you're going to find. Okay, so with the say like once we are into a freelance industry, say about writing or anything you do like digital marketing, you'll be getting clients through whatever content you are sharing on social media. But with the podcast, it is quite a different scenario. You just have to find your audience. You have to fetch them to your show. Okay, so your work gets visible when you record your show and then market it. So it is not the foremost process. Like it works in a different way. So first you have to understand who is your target audience. So anyone who wants to start a podcast, please try to understand that who is going to be your target audience. Because once you figure it out, then you'll be able to find like what kind of market you want to like target. Because once we talk about the target market and target audience, then it will be quite a lot easier for you to venture into. So if we take a simple example, if we create a mall, a shopping mall, so that is
Mhm.
the kind of a marketplace for you. And then there will be shop inside in it. Okay, so that is the target audience. Like it creates the target audience thing. So if you don't have the like shopping mall, then you won't be having the customers as well. So figure it out what is going to be your target market and then try to roll out the show because uh, it becomes quite a familiar. Like I'm good at finance, I can start with the business podcast. I'm good at like speaking about life, I can start something around like society and culture. I'm good at sports, I can start something around the sports. But are people able to like relate to your show? Are you going to find that audience for your show? That becomes quite an important because you never know what kind of episode will kick for you. So once you start out, just figure it out like in what way you're going to start. And if you have that like theme for your show, so you want to do a solo podcast, if you want to do like in an interview format, if you want to do something like experimental, then that is the kind of approach you should be having. And if you're very much sure, then just start with your podcast because I have seen that people always tell that you just have to start. It's quite easy to start. It doesn't take like if I come on
Uh-huh.
manicpod, if I just record a 3 minutes podcast episode, I can start my show. But
Yeah,
when will manicpod or will I be getting benefit if I'm going to do that for over a period of time, say like 1 year, 2 year? So the results will be shown to you. You will be reaping those benefits if you're consistent enough. So my
exactly.
like advice
So,
only be that
yeah.
start with your why and then figure it out in what way you're going to do.
Talking about consistency, that just was bringing us to our next question, actually. Like, once you figure out what you want, your podcast to be, you finally found, something that you want to talk about. But consistency is like an issue with a lot of people. Like, you begin and you're like really motivated and energetic, and then it slowly wears off. So being consistent with your podcasting is quite a big deal. And that brings me to the question that how have you managed post COVID, or like, with managing the business and all of that? How do you strike that balance between the work life and the podcasting?
Well, again, this is going to be an interesting process to tell you about because Vedant and Anusha, like I have seen like what kind of efforts we as a podcaster, we as like studio holders have to take because you know it quite very well. Like it is kind of an exciting journey always, but talking about the consistency, I have even suffered about consistency because
Mhm.
you never know what kind of situation you will be getting into. So with me doing the business, it is never about 9 to 5. It can get extended to like 9 to 7 as well, 9 to 8, or sometimes 9 to 9 as well. So having that mutual schedule for my podcast becomes an important aspect because even I have struggled with the consistency just because at times it could be your health reasons, at times it could be like you're not feeling well with the kind of emotions you're having, your voice is not giving the kind of response you always want to. So
Mhm.
it is quite an exciting story. Like once we start with the podcast, we always want to like release the those episodes on a weekly basis. So like मैं हर हफ्ते produce करूंगा और like produce करके फिर like post production हो जाएगा. Then I'll just release that episode. But you have to understand, it was quite easier for me when I was recording through my mobile phone because that was kind of a raw audio. I wasn't taking a lot of efforts on editing. So I just used to record and then put out the episodes. But then the way I started learning about podcasts, like how it goes, what kind of efforts you need to take, there is an intro thing, there is an outro thing, then the kind of editing you need, the kind of structure you need to establish for your voice. Because when we talk about podcast, it is your voice that will create an impact. So what kind of rhythm you are having to your voice, that again becomes important. So having said this, it is always about in what we are going to keep yourself like motivated to post those episodes. So figure it out in what way you are comfortable. So I feel that if you're putting out like 2 episodes in a month, that could be like achievable. That is quite a gettable. But just about a week, if you're not editing them, then that is fine. But again, are those audience digesting your shows? Because like the kind of episodes you are releasing. So weekly thing might be exciting, but what kind of analytics you are getting after that? So if
Mhm.
people are not able to listen to that episode, say like for a week, then it doesn't make a sense. You'll be releasing another episode and taking that dry out of to the second episode. So let them settle with your show till the time you can just market that particular show. So about the consistency, it is always about getting comfortable. So once you get comfortable with the kind of schedule you have, once you get comfortable with the kind of like efforts you need to take with respect to podcasting, then it's going to be an exciting one. I have taken a major break. You might not have seen a lot of episodes like since February and like 2020 to like I was like literally started again in July. So that was 3 to 4 months gap. But then I made an effort to record episodes. Like if I'm just putting out one episode right now in a month, it still works for me because audience knows, like listeners know that the show is running. And few days back, I have recorded my 50th episode. So that is the kind of like
Congratulations.
creating 50 episodes. It took 2 years. So it is not about how many episodes you are rolling out. It is always
Mhm.
about are they going to be valuable to the listeners?
Exactly. So Pawan, I'm sorry, just to put a break in for a second. So we've been getting
Yeah.
requests from our pitcher podcasters. So I just want to stress to them that we will be calling you guys up in a little bit. So we just have two more questions left for Rohit, and then after that, we will invite you guys up to pitch your podcast. So please, please, please be patient. But coming back to you, Rohit. So
Yeah.
you talked about, how getting to 50 podcasts was such a, achievement, and how you took that break. And now that you have attained quite a bit of success in the podcasting space with the coaching and the podcasting itself, would you ever, do you think that there is a point realistically in the foreseeable future where you would embrace podcasting full time and move away from business?
I have to be very honest. Like, my parents will be watching this video after like it gets posted live. But like right now, like I have no intention to leave the business. I want to work in a full time like in a business and do this side by side. One thing might surely be happening that I'll be delegating my work. So like I'm a kind of a solopreneur with respect to my podcast. So I'm still like thinking about what kind of topics I want to talk about, then call upon the guest, then write a script for the episodes, then again edit that episode, market it, everything. So I haven't spent a single penny on any of the course, any of the equipments. Like, see, equipments we have to buy it. So, like, I have bought the mic and everything. That is the part and parcel. Like, if you have to grow, because ultimately it is about creating a show, creating the experience. Listening experience is quite important. So that is the kind of a thing. So I'll just be delegating my work to the like I'll be building a team around it. I'll be creating a website and something around it so that it gets quite a reach. And then I'll just be taking a break around like see I don't have to do a lot of things so that I can just focus on my core expertise of calling upon the guest and even thinking about the what kind of episodes I want to roll out. So that is the kind of a future I'm looking forward to.
Great.
Nice.
And so, final question. You mentioned
Yeah.
about, letting the guest kind of do a bit of the legwork during the episodes. And for us as well, this is something that we're both very new at, interviewing people. So, as someone who has talked with guests and has had a conversational podcast and interviews as well, what is the secret, would you say, to a good interview, to a good conversation with a guest on a podcast?
Yeah. So first and foremost thing is the kind of research you do on a guest. So that is where it starts. Like why you want to call that particular guest on your show. So most of the people have that kind of a notion that if that guest is famous, if that guest has a lot of
Mhm.
followers, then surely you'll be getting more listeners. So that is a kind of a myth. It is true to the extent because those guests will never like they will be sharing that particular story or that episode for one time, but they won't be promoting your episodes for like say 10 times. So that is the kind of thing I have to say because you have to establish your brand identity. So it is firstly about your show. It is firstly about what kind of personal brand you have. Because when you reach out to the guest, they will be surely looking at your social media profiles, like what kind of growth you have, what kind of work you have done, and then they will be in a position to say yes to you. Okay, so it might happen that few people might be wanting the kind of reach they want for the particular like their the kind of work they are doing. So that is quite a possible, but you have to surely understand that it is just about making an impact through what kind of identity you have created. So if you are talking about a guest, if you are calling upon the guest, try to make sure that you are doing enough of research on that particular guest. You are having a good list of questions because those common questions, like you'll be looking at those questions on their post as well. So that is a big turn off because people don't want to listen whatever they have said earlier. Okay, so that is the kind of a thing which you have to always look up to. So do a research, then take a lot of time to like come up with the kind of questions that will excite the listener, because people always want to listen to the unheard story. Okay, the other side of the
Right.
coin. So if you are trying to bring out certain people, then that could be a great show. Like that could add a boost to your show, because I have talked with a lot of guests. They have been like the startup founders. They have like holded Limca Book of Records. They have been on Shark Tank as well. So I have done such kind of episodes. But what makes it special is that what kind of thoughts you want to bring out to the audience. So it is firstly always about your show, then about the research, and then the kind of conversation you're going to have with them.
Great. Well, Rohit, I hope you found our questions to your satisfaction. Great.
Absolutely.
I'm all right. Fantastic. So, Rohit, we're going to move on to the second segment of the show where we're going to bring up
Yeah.
some Pitcher podcasters. So, what this is exactly is we started a contest called Pitcher Podcast where we asked people to send in their podcast ideas. And we have gotten some truly amazing ideas from people who have podcasts, people who just have the ideas. And we're planning to do this live on a daily basis, and where we bring two podcasters up and allow them to pitch, and basically we get to ask them questions. So today's two pitcher podcasters are the Saddle Saga podcast and Pawan Badlani. So Saddle Saga, because they're a duo and they came first, we will be inviting them first, and Pawan, we will be inviting you second. So
Yeah.
Anusha, can you please just invite them real quick?
I'll do that.
Yeah. So we're looking for SK Motography right here.
Yeah, one sec. Okay. Oh God. 1 second. And
Enfielder.
yes. Got
There we go.
Thank
Perfect. So we have sent the invitations. Hello? Ah, we're getting
you.
perfect. Hey guys.
Hi.
What's up, guys?
Hey guys,
So,
hi, hi, hi.
Hello.
Since this is the first time we're meeting you guys in, face to face, if you guys could just introduce yourselves real quick.
so this is Mithun here, Enfield Gowda on Instagram, and that's my partner Shashi there.
I think
Hi.
we're getting a lot of
We're getting a lot of feedback.
feedback
Yeah.
from somewhere. I think
What happened?
We're getting a lot of feedback. We're hearing a lot of background sound, like a whistling sound.
Yeah. So I have some signal issues here, so I had just come out. So there's some background noises
I see.
going on here.
All
Sorry
right.
for that.
That's okay. We'll try to power through here. So, guys, welcome to the live. We've got Rohit here, who is an absolutely fantastic resource. So,
Hey, Rohit.
tell us a little
Hi.
bit about your podcast. Pitch it to us, the Saddle Saga podcast.
Correct. My name is Mithun Gowda. I am known as Enfield Gowda in the social circle and the biking world as well. So this is Shashi. He has his page SK Photography. He's a photographer. So we are good friends, and every time we talk, we meet. The only thing we used to talk was motorcycles. So we used to continuously yap about motorcycles. Like it would be not just minutes; it would go to hours and all. So we recently thought, what, instead of just us discussing things or talking about it, we'll channelize somewhere, make it a content, and then maybe uh, share the journey. A lot of fellow motorcyclists would be there who would actually be interested. Who would have had a lot of interesting stories in the past as well. So we'll bring all of that out as a content, and something to the motorcycling community as well, maybe as an education or a guidance or a tip, or just to get the community floating. So all of that included.
Fantastic.
Actually, would you like to add some lines to that?
Yeah. So it's like we keep talking about motorcycles all the time. So instead of giving them knowledge about motorcycles, we thought let's do it through the podcast, so that it'll be more like a discussion. So, and even they can hear our stories and we can exchange our experiences and everything. instead of giving, we thought, no, let's do it through podcast, and let's start off with a video podcast, because we felt video will give a more connect to us, like with the audience, whatever we are targeting. So then slowly we thought we'll move on to the audio podcast. So that's the whole idea, and that's it. I think, Mithun, if you have anything else to share, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good intro. I think if they have any questions, we should be answering them.
So,
So
would you
guys,
like to
Yeah.
share any of these fun motorcycle stories with us? Any one of them right now?
there's a lot of them. Each of us would have a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think both of us, respectively have about 10 years of motorcycling. So out of that, I think my personal story would be, yeah, one thing is every other birthday of mine. So for the past 6 years or so, the only thing I would do is, go out on a ride. So it's not like a couple of days or a week-long ride or something. So I'm not so I have this kind of a self-made quote or something. I'm not a tourist or a traveler. I'm a motorcyclist. So the destinations, the beautiful locations, the places, it doesn't matter to me. As long as I'm on the road, I enjoy myself. I enjoy the ride. So that's how the thing is. So to bring out the personality of mine. So yeah, that's instead of a story, I think that should suffice. So every year, that's what I do from before sunset to after. I mean, before sunrise to after sunset. So I just you stay on the road, and whatever places that gets explored is just another bonus. So that's
Beautiful.
my story side. Yeah.
That sounds
So
awesome.
coming to my story, yeah. So coming to my story, I would like to tell how motorcycling has influenced me as a profession, like how it helped me get into a photographer, as an automotive photographer. So I started riding as early as 2012. So from the college days. So when I started working, we used to go on rides where I used to take pictures of my own motorcycles. So that slowly developed into a hobby that I got into a good camera, and we started taking better pictures. Then slowly, what I thought, let's not why not we convert it into a profession. So since I started taking pictures like of my motorcycle, a lot of people had messaged me about it, that what you're good with it, so why not try, like try not why not go into a profession like the photography as a whole. So then I thought about it. So then I started freelancing for some time. Then slowly it started I started gaining knowledge about motorcycles, how to showcase them in a better way. Then I started travel photography. So by my whole life, if you ask me, motorcycling has influenced me a lot, from my passion to profession. And now we thought, let's get along with podcast. That also has influenced by motorcycles. So like the complete story is all about, from the start till end, it's all about motorcycling. So that's how the motorcycling has influenced my life, from the profession and passion, and now right now what we're doing, this
So, we
podcast we
have
started.
Rohit with us, who's quite an established podcaster himself. Do you have any
Okay.
questions, Rohit, for them, or do you guys have any questions for Rohit regarding, how to go about podcasting?
I have no questions for him, but I just heard that he just had a 50th episode on air. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you said you took 2 years. So again, yeah, as you said, you took a lot of breaks as well, and you wanted to give in your 100%, and then you came back as well. So it's not an easy task. And then yeah, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah,
So, Rohit,
Any
do you have
questions
any
for us?
questions for Mithun?
absolutely.
And
Yeah. So my only question is that once you're thinking about the podcast, about like biking or whatever you do with your motorcycle, so how is it going to be a different than you do something like with the kind of a vlogging thing? Because there are a lot of channels on YouTube which try to share their journey through biking or whatever do with respect to their motorcycle. Because once we talk about podcasting, it is kind of a episodic thing, so you have to keep on bringing those experiences. You
Correct,
might be
correct,
having a quite
correct,
a like a season or something to it. So so
correct.
like if you're say like if I'm based in Maharashtra, I'll be like touring Maharashtra and they'll be releasing a kind of a episode or a season like how I explored Maharashtra. So that could be one aspect of it. So how you are going to keep it different than what your like the vloggers do? Because and you also said that you want to start with the like one thing which is video, and then you'll be looking at the audio portion of it. So you can do it
Correct.
simultaneously. You can fetch the audio from that video and spread it to across all the platforms which goes live. So you just need a distribution platform like manicpod which can do it for you easily. So yeah, that's the kind of a story because it is ultimately about like reaching out to the audience, the wider audience, because there might like see the YouTube algorithm works in a very different way, and we don't have a competition to whatever people are doing on YouTube. So there is a kind of a single application which is YouTube, and there is the podcasting which can be listened on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, across all the platforms. So like with the kind of thing, how is going to be a different one?
Yeah, Rohit, to answer your question, we already have about 6 episodes right now, which are live. And so what Shashi meant was like we started off with video. Video, we had that one intention. We wanted people to understand who the people are, like who are they, what do they do, all that, and then the intro and the teaser, whatever videos we did. So that's the whole intention of that. And then we also have like the normal way, like the audio only. Like we are live on Google Podcast, Spotify. And other couple of them. So to pinpoint at your question, which said like there are already vloggers out there, and what differentiates you? So vloggers, what they do is they're on the motorcycle, they try to record it live and then have it. But here what differentiates us is, so me and Shashi, we have, as I said, the decade long experience what we have. So we have had it the hard easier way or hardest of the way. So we have some experiences of our own. So based on that, we would like to educate people, like this is the best way to do, or this is the simpler way to do. And like safe motorcycling practices that we both believe in, so we want to promote that. And also the guest part, like we call it the people on the saddle. So that's the segment we call it. And then where we have them, we want them to not just particularly about one ride or one season of riding. So the overall motorcycle, the connect, maybe the stories, the journey, the experience, all of it. So we want them to be sharing it with them. It should be an exchange, and certainly put a message if possible. So all of this is what we are actually the core of Saddle Saga is, because me and Shashi, we that's how we've been doing, with respect to without the podcast until now. So whenever we have a few friends or anybody, so we would definitely have those exchange of conversation. What, this is how my ride went, how was yours, what are the gears you are getting,
Correct.
any, see, all of that. So
Yeah.
uh, that, yeah, as I said earlier, we have channelized it. Shashi,
Correct.
would you?
So yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to add something here.
Hmm.
So the unique thing about our this thing is how differently we can approach this. So as Mithun told, we've been through 10 years of biking.
Yeah.
So we don't want, see, the loggers usually, if you take, they will share knowledge about the whatever this thing is, it the riding and everything. So the difference what we wanted to make is, we would like to tell our experience about the things what we have gone through, and by exchanging the experiences from the other people, right, we would like to learn and unlearn few things. So
Exactly.
say what they would have had a bit of experience, that we would like to gain knowledge from it, and we can tell few things that they would also gain knowledge from it. So that's how different we wanted to make it. Because if you take like blogging, right, it's all about telling your opinion on that, right?
Yeah.
So this podcast is all about the experiences we have, and sharing it with each other, and so gaining knowledge through it, and also educating them. It's not direct education,
Yeah.
it's through experience we learn. So we make learning an experience. So that's how different we thought, let's do it through this, through our stories. And so that's it. So that's how we wanted to bring up, like,
Yeah.
that's how different we wanted to approach it. Yeah.
A very good approach to it. I'll just say that
Yeah.
like I have recorded an episode with a biker like who was just he's Manas Devan who holds the Limca Book of Records. He traveled like 20,000 kilometers on his bike with his wife. So that is like he traveled across the Europe thing, and he was like vlogging during that particular time. So it is always a good thing to write down or to document whatever kind of experience you had, because it shouldn't be feel like you have to travel, say like, and then you'll be talking about a kind of in a virtual situation. Like we talked about this, like, so let's talk about the kind of particular situation we had. So just try to document your journey, whether it could be in a writing format, and then you can try to record those particular videos or the kind of audio episodes you want to roll out, just because it will create an impression that yes, you have thoroughly like experienced that. Because when it is about the podcasting, you just have to be in a moment where you feel about those thoughts. So like you'll be writing a script on the other day and then you'll be recording, but still you just have to go through that script, you just have to go through that particular moment and then create the experience for the listeners, so that they can feel lively, they can feel that yes, you are surely adding value. And I loved about a kind of a like approach you have, the kind of content pillar you have about like educating them. So that is the kind of a right approach, because even I have a kind of a content pillar which educates, like entertains and inspires. So that is the kind of a like three pillars which I work upon and then try to roll out my episodes. So definitely you can go with that particular thing. Just keep it lively and make sure that you are putting out your experiences on a regular basis. So whatever schedule fits to your podcast.
Thanks, Rohit. That
Thanks.
was
Okay.
Thank you
really
so
Thank
much.
you
yeah.
so much.
Hold on. We have one more
Okay.
question. Sorry. So, guys, we have one last question for you. So, obviously, with this contest, the prize is 50 hours of usage of our studio, state-of-the-art studio, for free. Now, if if you win, what exactly is your plan on how to use the facilities that will be provided to you?
Shashi, would you like to go for it?
So first thing is we are definitely looking for some quality stuff for our listeners and the audiences what we have. So it's always a the quality over the quantity. So we would definitely make sure we are using the quality of your equipments and everything what you have at the studio. And as we listen to now, so we would list down few things whatever we would like to talk about it, and we would definitely plan for it. And it's the opportunity what we are getting, we would make sure that we would be using it for the to the max, and we would definitely deliver more quality content to the audience. And yeah, so that's it, that's what I have in mind. And Mithun, if you have something, you can
Yeah,
share it.
so currently, yeah, the intro was a little cut short. I'm sorry for that because right now I teach digital marketing in an academy, and Shashi is currently learning digital marketing there. So that's where we
Yeah,
actually came out with this idea, because even though we had known each other for a very long time before that as well, but that's where we kind of channelize the whole content part. And currently all of our episodes, they've been shot there. And we were actually looking for something like a good setup. And another thing is we wanted to have something like use all your resources instead of just going and trying to invest in something else and then getting trying to get bigger. So right now we are at that stage where trying to utilize all the resources at hand. And we were looking for it, and then when I came across manicpod's post on Instagram, I thought like, what, this is going to be a good opportunity. So video wise, Shashi, we have him, I mean, we really have a great asset with Shashi and his skills. So we are sorted that way. And audio and post production is where we are actually kind of lagging. Yeah, that would be actually suffice. And again, marketing, as I said, he's learning digital marketing. I'm already teaching digital marketing, so marketing also we are sorted. So somewhere in between the audio and the other the ambience, all of that, keeping those in
correct.
mind, that's what something we were actually looking for. And I think this is when we win this, I think this is going to help us a lot.
Brilliant. All right. Well,
So I
thank you,
think, yeah.
Anita. You can give your speech.
Finally.
Yeah.
No, so I was just thanking the both of you for pitching your podcast ideas, and thank you so much, Rohit, for those amazing questions that you asked. And I think it may have helped the both of you as well, Mithun and
Correct. Yeah,
Shashi.
Shashi, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll just call our next
our next picture podcaster.
Yes,
So, Mithun,
on
Shashi,
this.
thank you so much for coming on the live.
Thank you.
I know that
Thank you guys for
there are
hosting us.
probably other
Yeah.
things that we'd all like to be doing on Friday night, but thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much for coming and pitching.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
if you guys can log out, we'll invite the next speaker.
Cool. I'll just do it. And thanks, Rohit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you so
My
much. Yeah.
pleasure.
All right. Bye, guys.
So
Yeah.
I'll just accept him in a bit. Okay.
Yep. All right. So now we are inviting our second pitcher podcaster, Pawan Badlani. Pawan, we've sent you an invite.
This is quite an interesting concept. Like, I love this.
Thank Hi, Pawan. How are you?
Hi.
Fine, how are
Firstly,
you doing?
thanks for being so patient.
Most welcome. No worries at all. Absolutely.
So, Pawan, welcome to the show, firstly. And if I could just give a brief introduction to you, your podcast is the name you gave us was Inspire Me, and it is a
Right.
podcast about using graphology to improve mental health. And I
Right.
remember when we were looking through all the submissions, we were instantly the use of graphology with mental health just immediately caught our eye, and we knew that we had to bring you in and we had to hear it from you personally about what this podcast would be. So now that I've gotten my brief little intro out of the way, let's hear from you. What is this podcast? Explain it to us.
Surely, surely. Firstly, thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity to be here with you and your team today. So, what I would like to introduce is a podcast on handwriting and signature analysis. Okay. So, when it comes to handwriting and signature analysis, when you look at somebody's handwriting and signature, you can understand the person's complete personality, mindset, love life, emotions, financial life, health issues, how they present themselves in their public life, how they are in their personal life, everything you can come to know simply by their handwriting and signature. Now, this is a particular space where I have been practicing and working in for the past 12 years now.
Wow.
And
Wow.
this particular idea of using handwriting and signature analysis to improve mental health is extremely powerful because I have seen a lot of personal client transformations as well, that simply by changing their handwriting and signature, people have had miraculous transformations where they have been able to get rid of issues like back pain, headache, anger management issues as well
Whoa.
by changing their
Okay.
handwriting and signature. So, through this particular podcast, if I can give them some tips, some ideas, some daily practices which they can do on a regular basis, which can improve their life, that will be phenomenal. More importantly, graphology is an amazing science. Within 21 to 90 days, like within 1 month to 3 months, you can see amazing results in your entire personality. Like a person who is a complete introvert can become an extrovert as well if they work on
Oh,
their
wow.
handwriting and signature. They can improve their confidence levels, they can reduce their stress levels, they can express their thoughts, their feelings, their ideas very easily as well. And why this is a very powerful tool for mental health, because graphology as a science is a psychological tool, right? It is a part of psychology itself, just that a lot of people don't know about this. So, I would like to take that particular opportunity, the knowledge, the experience that I have, and share that with you.
Brilliant, Pawan. So my first question on that is, firstly, I need to be mindful of my signature now because apparently someone can tell everything about me from that.
Right.
But more importantly, with this podcast, what would the format be? Would it be you bringing your clients on, or would it be and would there be multiple clients and you sort of bring them in and you try to figure out what they're going through and how to help them through graphology? Explain what the format of this podcast is, at least how you envision it.
Right, right. So ideally, the easiest and the quickest way to consume a podcast like this would be an audio format. But since I would like to make this as interactive and as quick as possible as well. We can do a video podcast as well, where even for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we can have a special section or a special episode of a guest coming in, and I can analyze their handwriting and signature on the spot. So these two are the formats that I am thinking of, which we can create this particular show in.
Wonderful. Rohit, do you have any questions for Pawan?
Yeah, for sure. Like the idea is exciting, and the kind of experience he has got into this particular field, like it totally excites me. Just my question is that we have like grown up a lot, and everything is getting digital. So, to what extent the handwriting remains relevant in this current period? Because and if you have to like improve our handwriting, so like you also talked about like rolling out the audio episodes.
Right.
So audio episodes could be in a very format like you'll be putting out the introduction, what graphology is, and then in what way it impacts you. And so the usual process can be covered in a series or a season format. But what after that? Okay, so if you don't bring on the guest, say like if I'm on your show and if I have to get that particular handwriting analyzed by you, so people won't be getting the reference to what you're talking about and how the kind of representation my handwriting has got. Okay, so it is a kind of a visibility approach for me with terms of audio thing. So how you're going to improve with that, and like what could be with respect to like how we can improve the handwriting when the world is getting digital, and to what extent it can like go on and on.
See, when it comes to the world going digital today, I understand that people hardly write, people hardly sign
Yeah.
today. But still, irrespective, your handwriting and signature has a huge impact on your personality. It's more to do about a matter of awareness as well, of the way you feel, the way you acknowledge your feelings as well, and how much somebody educates you about that this is a problem, this is what you are going through, this is the likeliness of what you might be going through, here's how you can correct it. In an audio
Okay.
format, when it comes to giving an introduction to them, it will be quite easy. Giving them some daily tips, some exercises which can help them at least get into the habit of writing, that will be great. And then once we come on to a video format as well, it will become so much more easier, so much more simpler to explain to them exactly why they are going through these particular issues, what kind of handwriting do they have, what kind of signature do they have. So giving them quick snippets about that. Another thing is to make a podcast like this run for a very long period of time as well. If people can even send in their handwriting and
Yeah.
signatures to me, right? And I can do spot analysis for that as well, along with giving them some daily tips about how handwriting and signature analysis can help you, or what tip they can apply today in their life to even see instant results as well. So I think that is something which will be quite helpful to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like how long they have to practice that handwriting thing, because to get it perfect, and like because it is a kind of a habit we have to establish. So no matter of time, like say if I'm practicing that handwriting and then all of a sudden I leave that particular writing part, so that might become difficult. So till how long I have to practice that handwriting portion?
So ideally about 21 to 90 days is the
Okay.
timeline. If you practice, that will be great for you. You'll see results. Actually, within the first 7 to 10 days itself, you will start seeing small changes in your
Yeah.
personality. The idea here also is that while you are doing those assignments, while you're practicing your handwriting, while you're practicing your signature as well, is to also become more aware about the fact that, you know, if you are not stressed, if you are calm, if you are in a good state of mind and you're practicing, you will be able to observe yourself in a much more efficient manner as well. Not the fact that you're practicing just for the sake of practicing.
Yeah.
Just a bit of education needs to be given about that aspect. But once they get onto that, definitely everybody loves to know more about themselves simply through their handwriting and signature.
Okay. Great. That video portion is quite exciting for me because it is about like having that representation created and then talking about that particular aspect. So yeah, that is quite an exciting thing.
Thank you. Thank you so
All right. Thank you, Rohit, for those questions. Those were on my mind as well, but I was waiting for someone else to ask them. I didn't want to come across like I was trying to get a free session out of this. But so, Pawan, we asked Mithun and Shashi this question. You mentioned how you want to have a video component, and you mentioned how you want to create a podcast out of this. So, like I mentioned to them, the prize, if you were to win, would be 50 hours of usage of our state-of-the-art studio. We do video, we do audio, we do end-to-end uh, podcast production. So my question to you would be, since you don't have a podcast, whereas they did, uh, if you had to, in a very succinct manner, what would be the best? How would you best utilize your 50 hours of studio time?
I would say that when it comes to utilizing the 50 hours of studio time, it would be first getting the scripting right. That's
Right.
the most important thing. Second most important thing, creating a proper structure for the podcast as well. Because from what I have seen, from what I understand, is that whenever we watch a television show, whenever we watch a web series also, it has a certain structure that people can recall and understand that it's a part of this particular show. So for a concept like this, I would just like to get that particular part right first. And second most important thing, even when it comes to my target audience, like currently, even when I'm teaching and writing and signature analysis, or I am doing my one-on-one consultations, right? Majority of my audience is women right now.
Mhm.
Okay, women who are probably in the age of 28 to 45.
Okay.
That is the kind of audience that I'm catering to at the moment. So I think
Mhm.
that even getting an understanding of what my audience should be like, how I can make it more entertaining for that set of audience, and getting a more clear understanding of podcasting. So I think that's how I will utilize my time. And definitely, recording content, getting more feedback, getting more clarity on this. So that will work very well.
All right, Pawan. Thank you so much for coming on and presenting. It is such a unique
So
idea.
different.
I know, exactly. So thank you so much for coming on and presenting. Thank you, Rohit, for your questions.
Thank you.
So with that, we have
Thank
reached the end of this live. So I just want to thank
Yeah,
everyone who tuned in, everyone who liked, everyone who gave their thoughts. So thank you so much, and we will see you guys on the next live on Monday.
Monday.
So Pawan, I hope you'll also tune in and see that as well. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank
And thanks, Rohit, for taking out your time for this and helping us, understand these pitches better.
thank you so
So
much. It has been my pleasure, and I absolutely like pleasure talking to you and sharing my journey.
thank you so
The
much.
pleasure was ours. Thank you,
Thank
Rohit.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. So just before I end this live, I just want to say that we're still accepting submissions. So please submit your idea if you still want to. And yes, have a good weekend. Happy Friday. Bye
Have a
bye.
good weekend, guys.
Bye
And
bye.
we'll see you guys on Monday.
Bye bye.
I say as if it's a YouTube channel. Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Take care. How do I end this?